Boom. Here we are. The beginning of the Polynomads podcast. I
Look at us.
am one half of your host, Justin Latham. And to my side here, we have the newly famous Ira Latham. Yeah, like, it's so funny. Friends are sending me articles. My wife's friends are sending her articles. This morning I watched you on The View. Watch them reacting to you on The View and missing the point entirely. But let's talk about it, because we've been talking about doing this podcast well before your, some would say, political stunt happened. Which it's anything but. It's we'll get into it. But we talked about doing this podcast about people who feel politically homeless. And then I decided on top of it that I was going to become actually homeless and live in this beautiful bus that you see me in right now. And so just kind of the polynomad, theology, if you will, was born, and here we are recording our first episode. Ira's been making the rounds on the news. He's been featured in the New York Post, Daily Mail UK, many local newspapers across the country.
News Nation, CNN interviewed me. They're going to be writing a post on it. Yeah, it's weird to be what I consider somewhat of a normal guy and then have this happen. But I chose for it to happen.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and explain what happened, and then we'll go ahead and show everybody what happened. I'll go ahead and get that pulled up. Go ahead and give us some explanation.
So I'm a dad of 4 and I live in the suburbs. So I get to navigate life as a dad of 4 in the suburbs with public education and everything like that. And normally I don't take a notice to any of this crap. And I try to stay politically ambiguous to anything going on. But my wife brought it up to my attention that at the board meeting, they're updating the dress code policy in our district. That it hasn't been updated since 2021. And I'm like, okay, cool, update the dress code policy. And then she's like, well, have you seen what the new policy is that they're proposing? So what happened was the district, ran by teachers unions and all that type of stuff, the district wanted to update the policy. So they created a policy that they wanted to update it to. And they went from a normal kind of high school dress code where, down to the fingertips, no midriff, proper appropriate covering, so that you can have a classroom that's not a nightclub or not a public pool party. Which for me, I'm a dad of 4. I have 3 master's degrees. I view education as people's way up and people's way to progress and move forward in their life. And so you have to treat it with respect. If you don't come to a classroom prepared to do stuff, it's going to not only impact you, it's going to impact fellow class members, it's going to impact the teacher, it's going to impact the whole organization. So I looked at that and I thought that's a problem, as just someone that understands how structure and order. I'm a military veteran. I understand how structure is supposed to work in a classroom setting, especially in a publicly funded, educated setting. This isn't a private school. This is a public school. Public tax dollars go to pay. My tax dollars goes to pay for this. So not only that, I have an opinion on it. So I spoke at the first session when it was up for voting, and I made a pretty good argument, as long with all the other parents that came in and spoke against it. And it got voted down 3-2. A member of the board.
And when was that?
That was back in, it was after May. I think it was in August. I think it was August. So it got voted down then. But before it could be completely killed, one of the board members said they wanted to table it so that they could revisit it. So they tabled the notion and they wanted to revisit it on the following meeting. Well, I was like, okay, cool. You want to I imagined that they would edit it, trying to change it, appease the parents and make sense for a classroom environment. They didn't. They put the exact same proposal. The main focus was covering underwear, or where underwear would be, and then no hate speech or anything that makes people uncomfortable. So it's really ambiguous. So me, being a frustrated parent, being like, dude, I don't understand how this board can miss the mark so much, and has how elected officials that are supposed to represent the community to the school district. So when the district wants to do something, the community is able to say, no, we pay your salary. This is what you're supposed to do. The board didn't listen to anyone. So I wanted to make a point. So I decided to go down to the local thrift shop, pick out the skimpiest little Daisy Dukes I could find, little crop top. And I said, you know what makes a better point than a chubby white guy stripping down to make a point? Because there's one thing that like liberal ideologues can't handle, and it's humor. They can be snarky, but they can't be funny. So they didn't get the joke and what the actual message was. Not once in my presentation did I mention anything about girls or boys. My focus is just the classroom environment and how that needs to be kept semi-professional. I'm not saying uniform, semi-professional, because this is the first experience that a lot of these kids will have with a semi-professional environment before they enter the real world, where they have to get jobs and listen to bosses and all that. So, and a lot of board members, they made it about themselves and they brought it about women and telling women what to do. That's not what this is about, but that's what happened. And now everything went rolling down. They voted for it now, and it passed now 3-2 when it didn't pass last time 3-2. And they try to just keep going. And that's just the first thing that I noticed with this district. But yeah, it's ridiculous that elected officials would act this way.
Yeah, it really is, in all honesty.
Yeah, and not to mention that the women on the board really made it more about themselves than anything else. And if you look at the comments on social media, you'll see the same thing. If we wanted to watch it and kind of react to it, we could do that now. But
yeah, let's go ahead and do that now. Everybody, please bear with us. If you're listening to this on audio, you can check it out on YouTube. If you
Google
are checking it on
meeting.
yeah, you can literally just do. I tell all my friends to just Google Arizona father crop top, and you are the first thing that pulls up.
The Daisy Dukes sing across the world.
Let's go ahead, and I'm going to go and share my screen. Here we go. All right, so here we are. We're going to go ahead and we'll go to this video right here.
An East Valley parent is getting a lot of attention tonight after taking off his clothes during a school board meeting to reveal some pretty short shorts and a crop top. And this is all over a new dress code in the Higley School District.
Supporters of this new dress code say it was time for a change, but critics say it's absurd. Casey Torres spoke with this dad who made the visual and verbal protest during the meeting.
That parent felt his concerns were being ignored, so he decided to show board members here at the Higley Unified School District office what the new dress code policy would look like.
Under the proposed policy, this would be appropriate in a classroom.
It's the show and tell seen at the Higley Unified.
Look at that. Look at that.
That's a glorious fact.
That is what a man looks like in 2023.
You know what's the best part of this is no one knew except my wife that I was going to do this, and then
not true. I knew.
Yeah, you knew about it because I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, but no one knew about it until I did it. And then my mother-in-law, you could audibly hear her in the recording say, "Wow," because she was like right behind me. She got a good shot of my backside there.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure everybody got a good look at that real fast.
School district meeting in Gilbert last month. Ira Latham stripping down to a crop top and short shorts before telling the district board that its proposed dress policy is lax.
As a dad that's very concerned about my children as well as everyone else's kids in the district,
well, we don't need to hear your commentary because we got you right here.
Got me right here.
But
yeah,
so that's what you were dealing with. So I guess first off, let's talk about what the opposition has said. Like what is the most cogent response from the opposition that you've seen?
Yeah,
there's a few, I guess, that you can kind of, like, if you squint, tilt your head to a certain way, you can kind of see where they're coming from.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, and I agree. So I deep down I have liberal ideology. Like I believe in freedom of expression. Like, hey, if you're in certain spots, you could do whatever you want. You're American. That's what that's what you're entitled to. And so a lot of the arguments is this is men telling women what to do. That you can tell they didn't listen to anything that I said. They're just using their They put their political ideology glasses on, and they only see what they want to see when they see this topic. And they say, oh, this is another example of a man telling a woman what to do. No, I'm not telling women what to do. I'm saying that a publicly funded institution should have set standards so that we can prepare children to enter society as functioning adults. And one of those is not having them have this kind of sense of entitlement that they can do and look whatever the hell they want when they go into a public institution. Minimal standards to behave in the workplace. That's the whole point of school, is to prepare these kids to have minimal standards. And that's just preparing them for the future. When you look at the success in the classroom, there's so much statistical evidence on how a structured classroom and how specifically dress code helps improve the classroom experience for males and females, for male appearance as well as female appearance.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that in a minute as well. I really want to go in on that, but continue.
Yeah, and it's not so much for the distractions of each other, but just how you act as an individual when you come to work, when you come to your place, and you don't look the part. I'm sorry, but you can't tell me that if you were in an office and everyone was dressed professionally, and you came in like some basketball shorts, a kind of ripped up shirt, and you got in front of your computer and started working, you might be known as the IT guy, but it kind of brings down the function of the office, and it also brings down your demeanor in the office. You might be highly functional, but you have to earn that before you can act like that. Yeah, and these kids, 100%. They haven't earned crap. I'm sorry, they're going to school to learn how to contribute.
Yeah, and I actually have something that goes directly to what you were just talking about. I was just at a car dealership selling a car not even 2 days ago. And one thing that I noticed was a clear lack of adherence to dress code. Like, I don't know when this happened in me, because I grew up hating dress codes. There was dress code at I remember like a gym dress code for my middle school in Eastern Washington State that I was like, oh, it's so stupid. But the older that I get, the more that I'm like, oh, uniforms and dress codes, they're kind of there in a way as it's like a safety net in a way for a kid that you don't realize that it's a safety net until it's gone. It's like the amount of thought that you don't have to put into that and you can put into something else is really amazing. And like as I get older, I'm like, man, I really wish that I would have understood that. I wish I would have understood that this is making things easier in the long term for different things. And it became so aware, or I became so aware of it when I was at that car dealership, and you saw a couple of the guys walking around with their shirts untucked, and you noticed that there was different colored shoes with different colored belts. And I know it sounds ridiculous. Like, as I'm saying the words out of my mouth, like, it sounds ridiculous, but it's unappealing to the eye. And in case anybody was wondering, it was 99% dudes that were working there. So like, there's no gender thing about it, at least from what I'm talking about. It just, it looks bad. It gives me a bad taste in my mouth about this business that I've already bought 2 vehicles from and now sold one to, that I might not go to. Now, I'm not going to list them out. They don't need to be put on blast, but I did talk to one of their head of training, who happens to be one of my best friends. And I was like, hey, you guys need to be training on your dress code a little bit more.
Well, I can tell you, as a business owner that's tried it, I'm able to charge more if my employees look presentable. People will be more okay with paying a higher price if the salespeople, if the employees, if the workers, if the technicians all look professional, if their shirts are tucked in, if those little details are hit. So as a business owner, I know that there's a clear correlation to that. And the employees act more professional and they treat their work with more respect when they're doing it. So like, to me, it's like, this isn't even an argument, but the problem is, I really feel that it's this kind of theme that leftist female, like, pushing they're making it about themselves, and it has nothing to do with girls' rights or anything like that. Yeah, it might impact girls more disproportionately in their opinion. However, who's wearing short shorts? Who's wearing crop tops? Who's having their shirts cut down? It's generally not men. And if it is, they need to take off their basketball jerseys and put on proper clothes. Like, that's how it is.
Yeah,
So,
and there are things that guys do that are outside of dress code and things that need to be addressed too. Like
yep.
I
Like,
I think that like sagging pants, like even tank tops that are just that are distracting. I mean, words that are just distracting on a shirt. I mean, like I remember back in the day, like it was real funny to have Billabong stuff that had like a highly like emphasized bong part of the shirt. Like I'm not saying that should be taken out or anything like that, but I'm just saying like dudes
dude,
are
freedom outside of school is totally fine.
Yeah.
If you have the money to buy your kids school clothes and their own freedom of expression clothes, then right on you. But if you can only do one thing, like I can only buy clothes for my kids for them to go to school. Then as parents or as children or whatever, you should probably prioritize that. Not telling you what to do with your kids, but you might want to prioritize that because your kids are going to be more successful if you pay attention to these small details. I had a sergeant in the Marine Corps that always said, take care of the little shit, the big shit don't matter. This is an example of little shit. If you take care of these small things in the classroom, I mean, Arizona's ranked always on the bottom. And people will be like, that's another argument. It's like, why are you focused on this when Arizona's always on the bottom? You got to start with little stuff. And this is just the first example of what now that I'm looking into it, it's the first example of what the district is kind of doing. Like it's ridiculous. They're also going around state law. I found out they're going around state law and they're not, so per Arizona state law, they're not supposed to send teachers to training that have CRT in it, like that critical race theory.
Yeah.
So what they do is they make their teachers, they say, we need to trust our teachers. So the district got around it by having the teachers sign an agreement that they will plug their ears whenever CRT gets mentioned at these training sessions, or they'll walk out of the room. I don't know about you, but that's ridiculous to me. Why are we breaking the law to send it to these types of trainings if that's against the law? So this is little stuff that's showing the overall problems that are in the public school district. It's weird as a dad that usually didn't pay too close of attention. I just started scratching the surface a little bit. I'm like, holy crap! Like this is stupid. We have liberal ideologues, which, like, again, I feel I'm more classical liberal on the freedom of expression and all that. But when you're in a social institution, your freedoms actually go down, not up. I don't think liberals understand that, but your freedoms go down when you're in a social institution that's publicly funded, then go up. If you want your freedoms to go up, you have to freely be able to do that on your own time and money. And that's the crappy part of it. Yeah, it has to be privatized. Luckily, Arizona has charter schools and stuff like that you can start finding and putting your kids in.
And is that something that you're doing with your kids right now because of?
Yeah. We just did a walk around, and I guess I'll give them a shout out. ALA, it's a charter school thing. They focus on more traditional values, but I went through the classes, and they're hyper structured. Like they have their values on the wall. They make sure they have a dress code and uniforms, but they make sure that they're all adhering to the dress code. So it's not just a dress code and all that. The kids have to look professional at a young age, and they have to go through it. And some people are like, oh, they're institutionalizing them. Well, yeah, to get educated, there's some type of form of structure that you have to have in that form. Now, if you want to homeschool your kid and let them be wild, eat berries, and go off, first off, I think that's awesome.
I mean, I'm literally at somebody's house that does that right now.
Yeah, and I
literally
think it's awesome. Like, there's some homeschool parents that are doing amazing jobs.
Yeah,
I was raised homeschooled. I wouldn't, for my setting, I probably wouldn't have recommended it, but there are some parents that are doing a great job at it. More power to them.
Well,
but now there's more
options. We live in a time where it's the best time to homeschool your kids if you have the means. Like, just the amount of resources that we have at our fingertips. I mean, you have the culmination of all of human knowledge as well as all the crap that goes along with it, just on the internet. And if you can parse through it and you can select the things, you can create a really awesome curriculum. Like I watch these, reels and shorts of kids that are spending time like doing marine biology, like, and they're like 10. They're volunteering, like some of their school time is going and volunteering at the local aquarium, and they're getting hands-on experience with marine life.
And you know what's the best part of that is, like, you know how it is, because I know you've done this, where you get passionate about a topic and then you deep dive into it, especially as a kid when you're most excited. You're passionate, deep dive into it. You're going to learn a lot about that topic, but you're also going to learn a lot about researching. You're going to learn a lot about industry. Like, My hat's off to homeschool parents that really focus on it, because there's a lot of them that are doing great jobs. It's very hard, very time consuming, and you're going to get criticized and all that type of stuff. And anytime you try to do anything different, you're going to get made fun.
Yeah. And that's, that kind of like, it goes back to uniforms and more strict dress code. Like you're gonna be made fun of if you do it by yourself. You're gonna be made fun of. But that kid that is taking all of that effort out of expressing himself in his clothing and everything, and he's in that quote unquote rigid like style, he's gonna learn more. He's gonna be more engaged.
He's going to be the one who has to hire all the ones that had the single moms telling him that no one should tell my daughter what to wear. You should tell your son not to look. Like that's the argument online. I don't know if you've looked at the comment section, but it's a lot of women that are this kind. You should teach your sons not to look or not to sexualize my daughter. I'm like, first off, not my argument. I'm not making arguments about girls. It's the whole argument. It's the classroom and all that. But yeah, it's individual responsibility. It's just. What else is kind of funny about this is kind of turned into kind of a dog whistle for common sense people. So I don't know if you watched The View and their take on it.
Oh, we're gonna watch The View. We're actually you brought it up, so I'll pull it. Go
they
ahead.
missed it completely. They didn't hear what I said. They started talking about women, and they made it all about themselves. And we live in a time where because of this identity politics stuff. Anything said, we can't listen to it when we can associate it with our identity. So it's us. It's about me. It's really selfish and all that. I'm not talking about these ladies on The View. They can wear what they want. They can have their kids wear what they want. And what's funny is all of them were talking about how they had strict dress codes, and they're all on The View making millions of dollars a year, but they don't see the importance of how dress codes help form them into people and all that. It's like,
who would take The View seriously if they were all dressed like you were?
Yeah.
Like nobody would take that show seriously.
Oh, imagine how funny it would be if they all came in dressed like that.
Yeah, they should try their next episode. Like that's what I want to see on Monday. We got Monday. What is that? The 16th. On Monday the 16th, if they really think that there's no problem, all 5 of you women, 6, however many there are, do a show dressed just like my brother here. Like let's go.
People might take them more serious.
Let's go ahead and see what the ladies at The View had to say. Go ahead and get this pulled up.
There's this ongoing debate going around about what's appropriate when it comes to school dress codes. Okay, this is very relatable to all the parents. And this dad in Arizona found a very dramatic, eye-opening way to get his point across. So watch this.
Under the proposed policy, this would be appropriate in a classroom.
Wow.
Oh, there's Linda. Oh man, that's so funny. I never noticed the oh wow before. But real fast, I wanted to pause it. Did you ever think that your first national piece you'd be dressed like this? Did you have any idea growing up? You thought I'm gonna be famous someday.
I never thought I'd be famous, nor did I never thought I would be famous for cross-dressing. But I'm proud of the statement I am. I'm proud of the identity I choose to accept, and I'm proud of myself. Yeah, I'm very brave for standing out. And
I'm gonna be on your side. You are very brave because you gave so many people with the dad bod just so much, like, just rejuvenated their fervor in keeping the dad bod. And I
really like all the hate from like there's people on the left that were making all types of homophobic remarks towards me. Like they were trying to say, oh, well, this is definitely something he wanted to do. You could tell he's been waiting to dress up like this, as if that's going to buy.
One of these women say that exact line.
Yeah, it's really funny. Yeah, it's just funny how quickly the left will use homophobic comments towards someone that they disagree with, and all that. Like,
and just so everybody's aware, we're gonna make fun of the right too. Just right now, the left is coming at you a little bit.
It's you, because after this meeting, or not after this meeting, but the last meeting I got into this circle something group of like all these right-wing people, and I'm like, whoa, I'm not a part of this group either, guys. And so I had to back away real quick.
All right, we'll go ahead and hear their wonderful commentary.
Now, if you ask me, this is inappropriate for a board meeting. If you have a dress code policy that allows us in a classroom, it does not promote a safe classroom environment, as well as limiting the amount of distractions in the classroom.
Okay, he's been dying to wear that outfit.
And you rocked it, buddy. You rocked it. Okay.
Slay
Queen. Slay Queen. That's what I say. Sashay away.
This was just an excuse to get into that little tutu.
Yeah.
What was on the bottom anyway?
I hope he's ready to pay for his kids' therapy.
It was Jean.
Actually, they bring up first off, we will say, in case everybody didn't see it, those are Daisy Duke shorts. And how have your kids reacted to this?
I will say my oldest son is the one that's most like, because he does watch CNN for social studies in the morning.
Yeah.
So he's really hoping it doesn't get on CNN in the morning. But his teachers, a few of his teachers gave him knuckles. He's like, dude, I saw your dad, and they gave him knuckles and stuff like that. So far it's been okay. But like I said, we're in a very conservative area anyways. It's really weird that we have a district that is ran the way it is, because, I mean, Gilbert, Arizona is 30% Mormon. So that should tell you kind of a little bit of something. Plus there's just a lot of other conservatives in the area. It is starting to shift, but yeah, they've actually been pretty good. I do like the teachers in my kids' grade school. However, I have seen some nasty things that teachers have said online, so it is making me a little concerned if this keeps getting more momentum, that I might see some negative side effects to my kids. So I am watching that very closely.
Yeah.
What are they?
Four
Jean shorts.
kids in that district.
They seem to block it out as if something else was showing.
It was like jean shorts.
Oh.
It's inappropriate. Somebody needs to check on
Yes,
the
it
wife
is
when it comes to
inappropriate,
this,
right?
because all I
It is inappropriate. She got the point, but then is going to go on to keep talking and show that she missed everything.
100%. You're going to watch I call it so I've been talking about this, and I really feel it's something. It's like the liberal, the American value of liberalism is something that's shared by Democrats and Republicans. It's this freedom to choose, right? We both have it. I have it, you have it. And so when people trigger that liberal kind of ideology in your brain, it becomes something that makes you turn against your own morals, because, I can't say to anybody what they should do. But the truth is, in a public setting, you can, and you can say what is good and what's not good. Yeah. This is common sense. This is not about telling women what to do. And you're going to watch them do it. They're going to internalize it and go to identity politics.
Yes. And sorry, I'm not as good as young Jamie yet, but I'll get there.
That's okay. We're getting there.
I could think about is this is grounds for divorce. If your husband showed up like that, I would attend the school board meetings.
Sexualizing a man right there.
What's that?
They just sexualized a man. If your husband showed up, I would go to a board meeting.
What was her name? Because I want to look up her husband. Maybe he's a good looking dude. Let's
I think it's that lady.
Rachel Lindsay husband. We're gonna
let's check out this guy. He's probably
Rachel.
He's an attractive girl, so he's probably a really good looking dude.
There we go. Rachel Lindsay husband. Second option. Oh, he's a beautiful man. I get it.
Let's do this. Let's do this beautiful man.
I mean, come on. It doesn't.
I can't see him, dude.
Oh, you're not seeing it?
No, I only see.
It's because you're on mobile, but the people are seeing this.
Okay.
People are seeing.
So I'll look it up on my end. So what's your name?
His name is Brian, Bryan Abasolo. Abasolo. Abasolo.
Oh my. Yeah, I would probably go to the board meeting.
I would go to the board meeting if he was showing up to dress like that too. Oh, you know what?
That would be a board meeting worth going to. So yeah, I get what she's saying. Not sexualizing the guy at all. I just think he's a very attractive man.
I didn't share the right one, so I gotta do it. Sorry, again, I'm not young Jamie yet.
That's okay.
I'm not. But there we go. We got this.
Yeah, that's an attractive man. Yeah, I can see what she's saying now.
Yeah.
Although
yeah.
it is sexualizing a man, but I get it.
You know what? I get it. He's a good looking dude. You know what? The blonde gets a pass.
Yeah, yeah. I'll let her.
And
be
good
sexist.
and good on what was her name? Rachel? Rachel Lindsay. Good on you, man. You got a high value
You're
dude
so
right
keen.
there.
Attend the school board
Yes.
meeting.
This is embarrassing.
Let's be honest, you've seen her husband, right?
The message got lost somewhere between the crop top and the Daisy Dukes that he was wearing. Look, there were so many other ways to make this point.
That is the point, Rachel. That is the point. I don't get how you can miss that. That is the point. It is distracting. It lets you lose sight of what you're there for. That was the entire purpose of the exercise. So this video is literally proving the point that you were making.
That's why, like, honestly, I feel it it has been a kind of dog whistle to allow clear thinking people, and it's not politically people, it's just clear thinking people. Like, I have beliefs on all over the place, but clear thinking people can look at that and hear it and say, like, wait a second, that's ridiculous that someone would wear that to a classroom. Not girl, boy. It's just ridiculous that would be allowed in a classroom, and that's the whole point. And she made it right there. I got distracted between the Daisy Dukes and the halter top. Like
that is the point. Like, it's going to be distracting no matter who is wearing it. It's just, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a little added funny because it's you, and we can go into the whole like backing behind the thought and all that in just a minute when we let these women finish up, and we'll talk more on that. But we'll let them continue.
Point. He could have done a Canva. He could have done PowerPoint, social media, exhibits.
I mean,
anything. Powerful in what way?
It's
jarring.
one at a time.
talking about it.
Yeah, they're talking about it, and the one person who seems to kind of get the point of it is being talked over.
Well, she's the watered down right view. Like, she's the watered down.
She's the watered down right side.
Yeah, she's the watered down right side. Watch her how she says nothing at all. Like, it's so funny.
I would note that half of this table argued that there shouldn't be a Senate dress code, so John Fetterman could have technically worn that on the Senate floor.
that is true. I
Half the table argue that there should be a Senate dress code.
Yeah, I 100% back a Senate dress code. I mean, especially when literally your entire paycheck is coming from us. Like, you need to look the part. And I'm sorry, like, you folks in is it Virginia?
I have no idea.
Is Fetterman from Virginia?
I have no idea. I don't follow political politics very close because it's just gotten so stupid a little bit. I heard about the Fetterman thing and all that, and I thought it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
Pennsylvania, you guys should really care about who is representing you. And it's nothing against the guy personally. It is, you need to have people who are capable of the job doing the job. And I'm sorry, like, he's just not. It's the same thing that I was saying 2 months ago when Dianne Feinstein's, who's now passed, her main handler, who is Nancy Pelosi's daughter, was telling her how to vote. That's not okay. We shouldn't be okay with that. There's no point in anything that we should be okay with things like that happening with our
multimillionaire politicians, career-long politicians, shouldn't be a thing either. Like,
those rich men and women north of Richmond. Shout out Oliver Anthony.
There's no reason why a politician who's been a politician for 40 plus years should have $200 million in their bank account. Doesn't
but I mean, her husband was a very successful investor.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's just like Nancy Pelosi's husband. They're all very good investors. They don't have any like tips or anything like that. I mean, they're better than Warren Buffett, the S&P 500. Like, they are good at what they do. So good,
No.
but let's not look into that any.
Say this, what are the boys wearing? Is there a dress code for the boys? And this is something that we go through all the time at my kids' schools. There's a dress code seemingly for the girls, but the boys can like go in and wear like little tank tops and flip-flops in the middle of winter and tiny shorts. And I also will.
Is there any dress code that's against flip-flops?
I don't know. Maybe at her private school that's not enforcing it. I have no idea. But there is a dress code for both boys and girls. It just covers it. And like if girls violate the dress code more, it's just because they choose those clothing. I don't understand the argument here. If girls violate the thing, it's because they choose the argument. Then the other follow-up argument, well, no one provides any other clothes. Like, well, I'm able to find it for my kids. And I understand it might not be the cutest or the best fashion sense or whatever, but you're going to school. You're not going to a club.
Yeah.
And if you want to buy stuff for a club for your kid and you want to buy stuff for school, then that's on you. But you got to make your priorities and you got to choose them.
Yeah. And when you're an adult and you want to make decisions, like, I mean, this is something that actually hits pretty close for me. Like I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen for just a quick second. I made a decision a few years back that I was going to make decisions that are going to cut me off from some career opportunities. At least that's what I thought initially. But now in the last like 5 years, things have really made a turn. And things have changed on the side of tattoos and whatnot, which I'm pretty sleeved up for the most part. And I made that choice, but I made that choice as an adult. I wasn't, nobody's letting kids go get tattoos. Like that to me, that's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. And if the tattoos did cut me off from career opportunities, that's a choice that I made as an adult, not a choice I made as a child. And I made the decision as an old adult. I was in my late 20s.
Yeah.
Old. Okay. I won't say that's old.
Yeah, it's like this whole idea of gratification now for people is like, I think adults forget what it means, the process of growing up. We look at our kids like, oh yeah, they can make those decisions. No, sorry, they're still young. They're still figuring out who they are in life. And so, yeah, you want to give them freedom to express, but I really suggest that if you want success for your kids, you still have to be there as a kind of guide for them somewhat. Yeah. They're going to reject most of the crap you tell them, but you got to be like, hey, this is what I did, and this is my experience. You're going to make your own choice at some point in your life. But for now, I understand that this is going to get you to an adult stage, like, because it got me there. So you have to do that for your kids. You can't just give them nothing and expect that they're going to figure it out completely by themselves. I mean, that's my parenting view. I maybe some are free-range parents that think that I'm just an overprotective parent. But yeah, classroom structure helps.
I mean, if you're a free-range parent, is free range using public education?
No. I don't think so.
Like, I wouldn't think so. Like, but hey, whatever. To each their own, I guess. We'll go ahead and let Sonny go ahead and miss the point some more.
We'll say just because a girl is wearing a crop top and shorts doesn't mean she's dressing sexually. It means that we are sexualizing her.
That I can't follow that train of thought whatsoever.
I've heard that argument multiple times. I still don't understand it. It's like I get it. Like if you're wearing a shirt, like I think David Chappelle had a talk, and I'm not talking about kids, but there's this argument of women make that you shouldn't judge me by what I wear. And I think it was who was it? It was a comedian. I don't remember. He's like, well, ladies, I agree with you. It doesn't mean you're a slut if you're wearing these clothes, but you are wearing the uniform of one. So it's a little confusing for some men. And I'm like, well, I mean, ladies, I'm sorry, but like when you wear stuff like that, people are going to make assumptions. And I believe in freedom of choice in your own time, but not in the classroom. That's what it comes down to. Like you can wear whatever you want, but not in the classroom.
Yeah, you're not going out there like proposing a dress code for the city of Gilbert.
Nope.
They're like people go into the Dirks Bentley bar down there that have to dress this way. No,
I pay for the school. My kids go to the school. I feel like the school should be somewhat professional.
Yeah. As you were, Sonny.
I really, I just detest that notion. I have a 17-year-old. She's wearing a crop top. She's not trying to be sexual.
Well, I don't think it helps, like when they pick at the fact that girls' bodies are changing, and we already struggle with that when you go through puberty. I'm not changing right now. You're looking a little too closely. But I think that when we sexualize not only the crop top, but it's also if the clothes are tight, like there's language around that, and the problem is, girls need to be taught these are their bodies. There's parts, and they work, and they're supposed to be there for certain reasons, and to stop assigning the guilt and the shame to women.
And they do all
girls.
sorts of things.
Yes.
Yeah, this is how old I am. When I was in high school, up to high school, you could not wear pants to high school. You had to wear skirts. Remember, here's some of our ladies here. You had to wear skirts.
When I first started practicing law, you couldn't wear pants in a DC federal courtroom.
In Texas, there's some courtrooms that were against that too.
How about those women who ride horses in skirts? What are they trying to prove? I never understand that. They have to ride side saddle. You see them in the movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this. I don't agree with anything that she says, but the way that Joy Behar says certain things, it does make me chuckle. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Yeah, she's like locked in another time, and then she's trying to be from another time, arguing her ideologies now, and it's very funny. Like I don't know. It is, but I've seen her try to explain how she texts, and she goes like this.
Oh,
like it's like on a typewriter. It's just funny. She's a hilarious character.
One more time for me.
Yeah, so I can't remember what I saw. I saw a clip of her talking about how she was texting, and she went like this. I'm like, oh, you're adorable. You're like my grandma. She's like my grandma. That's like I was like, oh gosh, you're just adorable the way
you're just adorable, Joy.
We love Joy.
That wasn't like them saying this is
don't I look fabulous? Meanwhile, they're going to fall right off the horse.
It's never for boys and men, and I think therein lies the problem.
Yeah.
I
went to a small private school, and I remember having to we wore our skirts, and we had to stand there and make sure that our skirt was longer than our fingertips. And I remember thinking, well, what's wrong with?
Now, this is something that I can actually get behind and say, you know what? As a young boy, I didn't get the allure of wearing short shorts, but the older I get, with the more defined my thighs get, I get it more and more. Like, man, if kids understood the greatness of having muscular thighs, you'd have a lot more boys trying to wear those like 3-inch inseams. I'll tell you what, right now, like wow. It's at the point where if a short goes like within 3 inches of the top of my knee, I'm like, it's too long. It's way too long now. Like, so that point is null and void, because for the men and boys that do get it, we are going to be starting to get affected by these rules, because women are afraid to see their thighs.
Yeah, get those thighs out there.
Thick thighs. Thick thighs. Thick thighs
save lives. Yeah, exactly. That should be a T-shirt. Thick thighs save lives. Oh my gosh, that would sell.
We'll get it up on the store when we start making products. Thick thighs save lives. The Polynomads, the podcast for political misfits.
With like a little bit of leg or a knee, or I got in trouble one time and was not allowed to be on student council because of my socks.
Yeah.
As if ankles are that sexy.
Well,
problematic.
Remember in Catholic school, this is back in the day now. If you wore patent leather shoes and a skirt, the nuns did not like that, because you could reflect up. Oh yeah.
That's your
That's
fault?
the patent leather shoes. I don't know if that's an urban myth, because it never happened to me. I didn't go to Catholic school.
Me, but I did.
You just lied on national TV just there. Just spread misinformation about Catholic schools and what they forced them to do. And she's like, yep, all factual. And then they're like, really? And they're like, well, I never went there.
I never went, so maybe.
It's maybe an urban legend, but I said it like a fact. I love Joy.
Joy, the woman knows comedic timing at the very least.
She does.
At the very least, she gets timing.
Yeah.
So what do let's hear an official response to the View. Like, what is your response? Ira Latham, go.
I would agree with them that for women, on their free time and all that, and not in a public institution, not in a public schooling, then yes, they should be able to wear whatever they want and do whatever they want. However, for children in a classroom setting, we need to set the right expectations for them, and a dress code helps set them up for success.
Yeah. I don't have a rebuttal for that. Like,
I would like to hear a rebuttal, but they'll be like, well, you're just trying to tell women what to do. I'm like, nope, you can do whatever you want. But in a public school setting where my and other parents' tax dollars are paying for it, you have to go by public standards. And the majority of people in Higley Unified School District wanted it to have a dress code of some type of standard, and they didn't want to do that. So,
have other parents talked to you about this recently?
Yeah, through social media, people have like commented and supported, and some parents will see me and talk to me, and people send me messages and all that. But all support. Anyone that has kids in the districts have sent their support. Like, I haven't had anyone reach out to me with like, I have a daughter, and I think what you're doing is wrong. I haven't had a single parent in the district reach out to me and tell me what I did was wrong or anything. They'll leave their nasty comments online, and they'll try to have their one-off in situations with their daughter or their experience in school when they had a teacher that was dress coding them on something. And I'm like, sorry for your experience, but a dress code helps in a classroom.
Yeah, and I want to actually go through and show you a lot of the support that you are getting, actually, even on the comment section of the View. And we'll go ahead and highlight a couple of these real fast. So we got at the very top. Oh, hey, look at there. That's a good looking name right there. By Justin Latham.
Hey.
Yeah, that's my brother. Proud of him. This panel really missed the point. They say it's distracting. Like, yeah, that's the point, folks. It really is. But we got I like that we got Shirley Maker 4129. I like that he did that. Point made 100%, and all of America is discussing it. We got DDG 3210. I came from the UK, and there is a school uniform there. It was dead easy. None of these problems, and it helped teach people to dress professionally in the eventual workplace. Also, psychologically, dressing for an activity helps you put you in that headspace. So much. I mean, that's something we were talking about earlier.
Huh.
My daughter wears uniforms in kindergarten, and I love it. I love not having to pick out a different outfit every day. That's kind of what I was going back to, like the amount of headspace that as a kid you attribute to making sure that, I think they call it the fit these days. You got to make sure the fit is on point.
I'll take it another step further. If you have a daughter, it simplifies it for you and your daughter. Super easy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for your daughter, but I'm literally thinking of it as a dude. Like, I'm thinking about all the time that I spent thinking about it. That if that was just removed, the more that I could have focused on my studies, that I could have focused on things that were really important. Like, it would have been insurmountable in a good way. Like, I would have had all this more mental bandwidth. But I mean, we got as someone who grew up with little money, the uniform was a savior for me and my brother at school. We didn't have to compete with labels and fashion. That's another one. I mean, I grew up extremely poor. Like, before my mother was a teacher, making all the money that we know teachers make, she was working at Kmart, Walmart, and places like that to put herself through school. And there was a very small Justin clothing budget. And I remember the anxiety that I had of never having the cool clothes.
Yep.
Like, that is something that sticks with me to this day. And it's something that doesn't get talked about because, I mean, this is something that we will talk about a lot in this podcast is every chance that you get, the left and the right are going to try to make you fight on things like race, on things like gender, things, these types of things. But what it really comes down to is its class. There is a big class disparity in this country, and it's not a caste system like they have in India, but it's really damn close. I mean, you have to look for it, so it's not as in your face as it is in India, but dear God, it's so apparent when you realize that it is those who have versus those who do not have. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and it's definitely, and when you have a disparity like that, then what politicians can do is they can take that disparity and they can, I mean, a good politician can take groups of people and find enemies for you to fight. The Republicans do that. They find the big boogeyman, the woke liberal. Liberals find that. They find the Bible thumping Republican, and they're like, they're your problem. They're your problem. When really it comes down to is there's a disparity in people. There's a disparity of outcomes. And we need to understand why that disparity exists. A lot of it exists because of just some people are more fortunate than others. A lot of it exists because some people also work hard for the opportunities they have, and they do little things and little details. I still believe America is a place where you can lift yourself up. It's a lot harder now than it was back in like the 60s or 70s, when a lot of the disparity was, I don't agree, a lot of disparities, there was a lot more race and stuff that divided us. Now that stuff doesn't exist as much. Whenever it comes up and whenever we can identify it, every clear thinking person would say, that's messed up, we need to change it.
100%.
And political people will take that and say, no, that doesn't exist. People don't want to do that. They just want to keep you pressed down because they can motivate people to keep voting them in office if they can make them a victim or make the other person an enemy or a villain. And really what it comes down to is there's a clear book for success. It's self-discipline. It's working hard. It's doing the little things like dress codes and things like that, and focusing on the right details to get the best outcome. Now, there's always going to be disparity, but that's the best chance for you to make something of yourself. And a politician doesn't want you to do that, because then you're not dependent on them as much to be your savior and to vote those things, to get those policies passed and get away the boogeyman for you.
It seems like politics really has embodied the white savior trope that we saw. I mean, we used to see a lot in media, and it's moved from being something that we see in media to seeing something that we see regularly on the political stage. And it's so dangerous, because I'm never going to say, I mean, unless we reach a time that there is no racism or anything like that, I'm never going to say there is no such thing as racism today. I'm not going to say that. I've seen it. It happens. It needs to be called out, but not everything that they say is racism today is racism.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think this was, like I said, and recapping, because we're coming up on time, like,
I want to get to two comments from teachers real fast.
Oh, okay.
We'll go ahead and wrap it. The last two that I want to go are right here. So we got KLAC 8505. I teach high school, and we haven't really had a dress code in years, other than nothing offensive, derogatory, and or drug paraphernalia. However, we do have students all the time wearing outfits that show a lot of skin, or pants that are way too low and show boxers. Boxers, those are men's underwear, boys' underwear, if you will. Just pointing that out for the folks at the View. We can't really say anything. This honestly isn't a fight I'm willing to take on, since it doesn't bother me that much. But I worry young people aren't learning the difference between clothing that is appropriate for the occasion and what is not. Very, very poignant.
Yeah.
Then we got Renume. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. I'm a teacher. No, this isn't primarily a sexual thing. Almost every job on earth has a dress code. School is not your house. We don't wear pajamas or dress for a day at the beach or the club. We teach more than algebra. We teach life skills. Be professional, be prepared, be present. A crop top or sagging pants don't necessarily contribute to that. I'm just going to leave a like on that bad boy. But I mean, I love seeing that people are getting the message. They're really understanding what was being said, and it's, it gives me a little bit of hope.
Yeah, and I put a lot of thought into making this statement and everything I wanted to do with it. And what it really comes down to is I was hoping it would be kind of a dog whistle for common sense people. And honestly, I feel like it's been successful that way. It allows some people that look through their rose-colored glasses of their political ideology to keep looking at the issue that way. And they'll say, oh, it's all about women and men. No one should tell a woman what to wear or what to do. And I get that. But for common sense people across the political spectrum, Republican, Democrat, liberal, woke person, not woke person, and everything in between, if you can look at this and be like, that's an okay argument. You should be able to wear that to the classroom and all that. I'm like, all right, well then that's your choice. You should do that. Or you can say, you know what, kids deserve some guidance. These are children in a classroom, in a setting, and these types of policies and everything help them succeed in life. It also protects them. It also helps them understand how to show up in their life and in their other setting in a semi-professional way. And that's really what I was trying to do. And I feel it's been successful, and I hope it continues to be successful. And then I hope more parents kind of take more of an interest role in their kids this way. Show up to a board meeting now and then. Maybe pull your kids out of a public school and put them in a charter school. Charter schools are a great option now. So this isn't my only issue, but this is an issue I care about because I have 4 kids and I'm in the thick of like raising kids that are going to be productive members in society.
Yeah. And I think you are doing the right steps. I think that you're making a hard choice. You know what I mean? Because there are people that are going to come after you. It's going to happen. There's going to be, I'm sure there's going to be hit pieces written on you. Like,
oh, there already have. There's YouTube videos of people just bagging on me already.
Oh, I can't wait to go into the comment section of those.
So fun.
Let's go. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in for the very first episode of Polynomads, the podcast for political misfits. This is just the first one. Next time we meet up, we're going to talk about what led to me living in a bus. And we're going to talk about all the political things that led to me living in a bus and being a nomad in my own right. But this is going to be a lot of fun. Really excited for everybody to join. I'm going to go ahead and cut to our logo in the jankiest way possible. And I'm going to leave everybody with just looking at that beautiful, beautiful logo for the time being. And we will see you guys, or you guys will hear us and see us next time. We're out.
Peace.